And she's asking, would installing a crawl space dehumidifier be enough to keep mold growth away? She sees so much about how crawl spaces should be fully encapsulated and then a dehumidifier added. And so if there's already a dehumidifier, why isn't encapsulation needed is the question. So it's a good question, and I want to address it. Yes, you have to. Hello, today I am going to answer a question about crawl spaces. So I get a ton of questions in my Facebook group related to crawl spaces, and one just came up from Allison that is a really good question, honestly. And so I decided it's just hard for me to answer this stuff in comments because there's so much to know. And there's so much to talk about. And crawl spaces are really challenging, really challenging. And so she's saying, I'll read what she says. She's considering buying this new construction house that she posted a picture of. It's a crawl space foundation. And she's asking, would installing a crawl space dehumidifier be enough to keep mold growth away? She sees so much about how crawl spaces should be fully encapsulated and then a dehumidifier added. And so if there's already a dehumidifier, why isn't encapsulation needed is the question. So it's a good question, and I want to address it. Yes, you have to encapsulate the dirt. And part of the reason why is that especially in the places where crawl spaces are prevalent, which is usually south-ish, the ground doesn't freeze very far, so your foundation doesn't go very far below the ground. I will say that even if you're in Minnesota or North Dakota, you still need to take the same precautions with your foundation and with your crawl space if you have one. But remember, there's a lot more earth below the foundation than that's all connected. And dirt is 100% humidity, 100% moisture content in the dirt, I guess is a better way to say that. The relative humidity in the dirt is usually around 100%. It might be 95, 96, 97. If you doubt it, then get one of those plant moisture meters that you can measure the humidity in the dirt and stick it in the dirt. And the reason plants can grow is because there's moisture in the dirt. And typically, even in the desert, the humidity in the dirt, and this may be below the top surface, so just a few inches below, is close to 100% relative humidity, or moisture content of 100%. It doesn't mean it's wet and mushy. It just means that there's a lot of moisture stored in the dirt. And then, as I said, the dirt goes underneath the foundation wall, and there's no way for the planet to know where your foundation wall is when there's a way more earth below your foundation than what's at the top. And so when it rains, and it rains everywhere that I've ever seen in the United States and Canada and everywhere in Europe, it rains at some point. Even in the desert, it rains at some point. And it's at those times that the ground soaks up all the moisture, and then it's going to spread it everywhere. It's not going to be only wet outside and not wet inside. The top may seem dry, but below the top, it's as wet below the surface there next to the wall as it is on the outside, on the inside. So just know that the ground is percolating all this water, and it's just basically spreading out. And so yes, you must encapsulate crawl spaces. And then yes, you should dehumidify them. So I don't see any way of getting around those two things other than you could do it yourself. So make sure it's one that's not too short so that you're willing to do it. But it is something that I think somebody could do themselves, especially if it's not toxic down there already. So say in a new construction situation, it would be a lot easier to do it while the building's under construction, and some of these little spaces that are crawl spaces are truly for people that are little people to crawl. And that would be really difficult to do because it's really hard to see what's going on. So if you do have a crawl space, I recommend it's one you can look at easily, so kind of tall, and that is because you're going to need ongoing maintenance. It's something that people need to be looking underneath their crawl spaces. Things happen. So leaks happen that didn't happen before, or something happens, a pipe leaks, and you just can't have it leaking on because you just never want to go down in your crawl space. So that's why I actually like basements, because there's a better chance somebody's going to go down there and look, and somebody's going to notice the dripping area. Somebody's going to notice the foundation leaking, and then you can address it. But a foundation leaking through the wall into a crawl space is just as bad as if it's a basement. And the same thing with a slab. If the slab is bringing moisture into the foundation from the outside, it doesn't matter that you can't see under the slab. And then you can still have plumbing leaks in your slab foundation. So this is primarily around crawl spaces. So I hope this is helpful. I'll see you on the next video.
If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. For more free information on safe building, avoiding mold, and water damage, visit avoidingmold.com.